Hello, hello, hello. Okay, let's get this thing started. Welcome. Everybody sit back and get comfy because this is about to get interesting if you like keeping track of markets, playing with numbers, and all that other stuff. So, I already have Facebook Marketplace pulled up for search results within 500 miles of Dallas, Texas. So that's going to get us a pretty big chunk of the entire US market for what this is all about. But before I go into the nitty gritty details about the Miata Marketplace on Facebook Marketplace, on Bring a Trailer, on Cars and Bids, on all these other websites that you can look at just to see what the market is. And this is applicable to just about any type of car that you're looking for, not just Miatas, but any other enthusiast car at the very least. I don't just search for Miatas when I keep track of what the market is doing as far as enthusiast cars go. Although I think the Miata is probably a very good barometer of what the used market is doing for enthusiast cars, because the Miata is kind of one of those benchmark cars, and it's a car that has very high liquidity as far as the used car market goes. What that means is liquidity is kind of an economics or finance term where you can flip something or sell something really fast without having to like reduce the price beyond what's reasonable for the seller. So Miatas are an example of a very liquid market because if you need to sell a Miata, you can sell a Miata. The opposite of a liquid market for a car would be something like, say, and Rotary Bros, don't bash me on this, but the Mazda RX-7 is not a very liquid car as far as being able to sell one goes. It takes the right buyer in the right market at the right time, and you're going to have to be patient if you want to get the money that you want for it. Otherwise, you're going to have to reduce the price severely and sell it for a loss if you need that money right then and there, even if it's a running and driving car. But I also keep track of the market for enthusiast cars in general, not just the Miata. I look at the RX-7 market. I look at the Nissan Z market. I look at the market for Suzuki Cappuccinos, other K cars, Honda Beats, you name it. Anything that's an enthusiast car, even not all Honda Civics, but maybe specific Honda Civics like maybe FK8s or FL5s or certain Civic SIs from previous generations, which I'm somewhat familiar with because I used to have one. Yeah, I'll keep track of the market for that. But beyond that, I think most of my market tracking when it comes to the used car market is obviously going to be Miatas, because that's the one that I'm most likely to get as a third car if I get another vehicle. And the last 6 vehicles I've bought have all been Miatas. I bought an ND back in 2021, and then I bought 5 NAs since. I've sold 4 of them. So I bought an NA in 2022 at the peak of the used car market. I bought my second NA in 2023. I bought a third one later in 2023 to replace the one that got totaled from earlier that year. I bought I bought 2 in 2024. I bought a Mariner Blue 1.6, and then I sold that to a friend to buy by 96M edition, which I've had for the longest now. I've had it for over a year and a half, and there are no signs that I'm going to be selling it anytime soon, knock on wood. So even if it got totaled in a wreck, I'd still try and rebuild it maybe. But she's special to me. What can I say? So, but during this stream, I don't think it's going to last that long, maybe an hour, hour and a half. I doubt it'll go longer than 2 hours because I don't want to waste y'all's time, but I want to thank y'all for joining me. And you're probably joining because either you want to watch me or really you just want some somewhat expert opinion on what the Miata market is doing. And we're going to check Facebook Marketplace. We're also going to check more formal sites like Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, Auto Tempest, Auto Trader. Auto Tempest and Auto Trader will get us more into the market for NDs and maybe some later model NCs like the NC2 and the NC3 from last decade. But anything before 2010, I mean, you're looking at Facebook Marketplace as a representative example of what the market looks like, combined with maybe Cars and Bids and Bring a Trailer, because Facebook Marketplace and Bring a Trailer represent kind of two opposite ends of the spectrum. You find a lot of questionable listings on Facebook Marketplace, whereas Bring a Trailer, although it's changed recently, has historically been more like collector grade items that maybe people want to collect or just want to drive occasionally as collector cars, as classic cars. So that's enough yapping for me about what the stream is about. So let's just go ahead and go into the Facebook Marketplace listings here. I'm not going to click on every single listing, but like I said, I have listings pulled up for 500 miles within Dallas, Texas. So that gets us not only most of the state, plus Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, pretty much the whole south central region of the United States. And so I'll pull up some of the more interesting listings, but one thing that I've noticed over the past few months in the Miata market, and I don't know if it's the market doing this or if it's algorithms on various sites doing this, but there's kind of a, shall we say, bifurcation of the market. And it's a trend that's been going on since at least 2022, 2023, since as long as I've been on the market, for NAs at the very least, and to a lesser extent NBs, but you're starting to see it creep into NBs as well, where everything listed for sale is either a total shitbox with a salvage title or maybe a rebuilt title, or it's an absolute cream puff that is going to fetch at least 5 figures, which would have been unheard of for most cream puff Miatas even 2 or 3 years ago. And so we're going to obviously run into examples of both. But what I'm going to do on Facebook Marketplace, and to a lesser extent on the other sites, is I'm going to go around and I'm going to try to find some listings for what I call not necessarily daily drivers, but driver cars. They're not cream puffs, they're not in collectible condition, but they're in good enough condition that you don't need much fixing up for them. They're not project cars, they're not shit boxes, they're not cars that were obviously tracked and trashed. And so they may have over 100,000 miles, but they'll be relatively reliable, and you shouldn't feel guilty about driving them 5 or 10,000 miles a year if you want to run up the mileage on an old car and get that, driving experience and that driving feel in. So I'm here on Facebook Marketplace, and I'm not going to organize this by generation like I've done on previous streams where I go over NA, then NB, then NC, then ND. We're just going to have at it with whatever generation pops up into the frame. Okay, whether it be NB, NA, NC, ND. Facebook Marketplace is where to go to if you want to look for mostly NAs and NBs and a few NCs. You will rarely find NDs listed on Facebook Marketplace. It seems the most common generation of Miata to be listed on Facebook Marketplace these days, though, is NBs, because NAs in good condition or even for sale are kind of becoming a little bit less common. And NCs are only now starting to get in that age bracket where the prices are what you would find on Facebook Marketplace, meaning anything between $5,000 and I'd say $15,000. And so I've got some marketplace listings pulled up. Let me adjust my windows here. That's the reason for the bit of odd behavior on my part. Okay. This looks promising. $8,000 for a 1999 Mazda Miata NB. That's going to be an NB1 in Lafayette, Louisiana, with only 96,000 miles. And so let's look at what this listing has. Manual transmission, obviously, that's what you want. Exterior color is green. I think that's emerald green mica. 2 owners. Selling my 1999 Miata with only 96,000, blah, blah, blah. Clean title, completely stock, unmodified. Runs, drives excellent, smooth shifting, headlights, no rust, no accidents. They say it's British Racing Green, but I think that was offered on the 2000 or 2001 special edition. This is, I think, actually Emerald Green Mica, but a lot of people sell it as British Racing Green. It's close enough. If you want a green Miata and an MB1, I'd say go for this one. But then they list it kind of like a boomer lists it. Clean, garage kept, unmodified, getting harder to find, which is true. Low miles, no rust, new top, and so forth. Open to trades for Mustang, Chevy Corvette, Pontiac Trans Am, JDM cars, blah, blah, blah. So this is a car enthusiast, and he's just rotating in and out of different cars that he wants. So he has a Miata somewhere in the collection, obviously, that he wants to get rid of. So let's look at the pictures. And before we look at the pictures, $8,000 for an NB is on the rather high end compared to what you would have paid 2 years ago. NBs have hit the bottom of the curve as far as price goes, because now they're starting to fall into classic status. And so what that means is that they're now going to start going up because collectors are going to start snatching them up. And it's especially going to happen, or that trend is especially going to accelerate, because in most states, the cutoff for classic status is 25 years old. And so this is the first year that NB2s with the revised engine that has the VVT motor are eligible for classic status. So 2001 through 2005 was basically the NB2. And because more of them are going to hit classic status, more of them that are in good condition and collector condition are going to hit the market, you're going to start seeing prices go up, because NAs are just, they've not become unaffordable, but they've become out of reach for a lot of people who want a clean example, but are not willing to pay less than $9,000 or $10,000, unfortunately. NBs are now where NAs were 2 or 3 years ago. They're at that price point where it's going to be high 4 figures for clean examples. That means anything between like $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 will get you something under 100,000 miles with a clean title, in good condition. No rust, good paint, no major accident history or anything. Or if there is accident history, it's relatively minor and it was repaired to where it's not even noticeable unless you look at the Carfax. And so this right here is the perfect example of that. So if everything else checks out on these pictures, 8,000 is really about the market rate for it. He only listed this a day ago. I think it's going to sell within a week. So let's see. It looks good. Green is one of those colors that it's very good to take pictures of on a cloudy day, in my opinion. Certain shades of blue are like that. You don't want to take pictures of bright colors on cloudy days, like red or yellow or orange or white. Those are better taken when there's a lot of sun out, but cloudy days are good for kind of like pale colors, pastel colors, and darker colors like this. Doesn't look too bad. He took pictures from all the correct angles. And that interior looks pretty good. You can see some wear on the seat kind of around here. And that's normal from a driver getting in and out of the car. But it's not something to be terribly concerned about. If you're an absolute, nitpicker, so to speak, you're only going to find seats with no wear like this if they've been recently replaced, or if they're original, the car has got to have under, say, 30 or 40,000 miles. This is about the amount of wear that you'll see on a car that has about 80, 90,000 miles, which, if you're looking for a driver's car, and are not that picky about a dent here and there or an imperfection here and there, even if you want to kind of keep it for a long time as a quasi collector car that you'll drive maybe once or twice a week, this amount of wear on a seat, in my opinion, is acceptable. And if you want to reduce the amount of wear in the future when you own the car, just get seat covers. That's all you have to do. And then some more outside pictures, but this time with the top up. So yeah, this is mostly stock and modified. It looks good from the outside and inside. What I would do is, if you're seriously in the market for an NB and you don't mind having an NB1 instead of an NB2, go ahead and ask this guy for more detailed pictures of the interior. I'd want to see more pictures of the interior because really we only get three good shots basically, here, here, and here. And it's hard to tell what, if anything, has been done on the interior and the true extent of how good it is or how bad it is. I can see he put in an aftermarket head unit here. Shifter looks stock. This is the NB1 center console because it's got the ashtray up front, and then it's got the power window switches, and then just one giant glove box here, which I think, if I remember correctly, has one cup holder if you actually open up the glove box. Most people like the NB2 center console more than the NB1. So, and a lot of people make the switch. And so I would, if you don't like the NB1 center console, you can find an NB2 center console and it'll fit just fine in here. But I can't tell anything besides, you know, the fact that he did some basic rudimentary things. Just check the gauge cluster, make sure there's no like check engine light. Not that it matters in most states that do emissions tests, because usually most states will exempt cars if you live in an emissions area if your car is 25 years old or older. But that can vary. Like California, for instance, they do smog checks every 2 years, and it's for every car that's model year after model year 1975. There's just a hard cutoff. So a car like this, you're going to get emissions testing every year out there. Check to make sure the odometer is what it's saying. It's 96,000 miles. So yeah, this is a good example, but you know, just ask for more pics of the interior, and ask for a pic of the engine bay and the underside of the car. Make sure, like, if you're going to drive a long distance to see this car, that there's no bluffing in this listing here. Here's a Mazda Speed, which is one of the special edition Miatas. It's the only factory turbo Miata. This is in Baytown, Texas, 94,000 miles. This person wants 11 grand. Let's see what this listing has. It looks like it's got a check engine light, as you can see here. That might or might not matter. There's a little bit of a tear right there. If it doesn't leak, it probably doesn't matter, but if it does leak, this top is probably going to have to be replaced soon. You can get some kind of glue or flex tape as a temporary solution there if you don't operate the top that much. In other words, take it down or put it up. This is the stock head unit and shifter for this model year 2004. This is actually a good color, by the way, for the Mazda Speed. The titanium gray and the orange metallic, whatever it's called, those to me are the most desirable colors on the Mazda Speed. Most of the ones I see are either going to be red or black. This looks more like a style bar right here, this hard dog roll bar, but this might be one of those style bars that actually functions correctly as a roll bar, that actually provides some structural support and protection. So just because you see hoops like this doesn't mean it's actually a style bar, but do some research on what kind of roll bar it is and make sure that you get one, if you get a roll bar, that is actually going to protect you in the event of a rollover. Hello, Mirror Fugly Cool and Taco. Glad you could join us. Okay, that's at least one original key for it. One thing I would caution about if you buy an NB is that the immobilizers are a pain in the ass to program, from what I hear. Especially the NB2s. I don't think NB1s had stock immobilizers from the factory. And they've got the receipts. There's that video again. These are ND wheels, by the way. These are not the Mazda Speed wheels. The Mazda Speed wheels were, I think they were 5-spoke Racing Heart wheels that were 17 inches in diameter. So they're the same size as ND wheels. But the ND wheels look pretty sick on this car, to be honest. But honestly, I would try and find a set of Mazda Speeds. And if not, get something a little bit more aftermarket than the stock ND wheels, because the Mazda Speed looks better with those. I would recommend, my personal favorite on these, if you can't find the Racing Heart wheels, would be Enkei PFO ones. Not the RPF ones, but the PFO ones. I think they're basically 5 pairs of spokes. So they're 10 spoke, but they're in 5 different directions. So this has 94,000 miles, is a manual transmission, clean title, supposedly. Second owner. I have done less than 8,000 miles in the time the previous owner had all work done, blah, blah, blah. At the Mazda dealer. Car's almost stock minus BEGI intake and a hard dog roll bar. Come with original intake, 2 original keys, records of previous work. Glass starting to separate from the roof. Yeah, that's fine. Code P0106 for mass airflow sensor, supposedly. So you either need to clean the mass airflow sensor, get a new one, or that code might be indicative where like the mass airflow sensor is reading something wrong, but it could be something deeper, like something maybe in the ECU or something further up the intake system. So just because a code says it's the mass airflow sensor doesn't necessarily mean it is the mass airflow sensor. And if you live in an emissions area, you're going to have to get this tested for at least another, I think, let's see, it's 2026. So really until 2029 would be the first year that you could register this without an emissions test. That's if you live in one of the major cities that requires it. So if it's not required, then by all means, go for getting this one. Because honestly, $11,000 for a factory Mazda Speed Miata with under 100,000 miles is not bad at all. A lot of these on Bring a Trailer are going to list for about 15, 16, and they're going to sell for that much. So yeah, I'd say go get this car. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to save it, maybe. I'll do it later. I'll just re-look up the listing and see what happens. No reason to mess up my algorithms at this point. So that's a good listing. This one's a good listing. But like I said, almost everything on Facebook now that's listed is either a cream puff or a shitbox. And we've seen 2 cream puffs so far, or really high-end driver's grade cars, in my opinion. Here's a 93 LE, which is arguably the most desirable of the special editions of the NA because it has the red interior. And some people call this the first M edition, even though it wasn't labeled as an M edition because it was the last year of the 1.6 motor. And the red interior only came in this car. It has only 32,000 miles. When they say Southern car in the United States, that's a hint that it doesn't have any rust issues. So if they say Southern car, California car, Texas car, that usually means it hasn't been up north where they salt the roads. Cold AC, clean title, manual transmission, blah, blah, blah. Collector owned, I currently have 3 Miatas, blah, 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 located near Quinlan, Texas. And he wants $15,500. I kind of think that's a bit high for any NA Miata, even if it's $32,000. It only has 32,000 miles, especially for a 1.6. But some people want the 1.6s because they're supposedly more rev happy. It looks to be in great condition though. Those are 14-inch BBS wheels. If you want BBS wheels from the factory on an NA, your only other option is the 95M edition, and that's the one I would recommend over this car. And that one has 15-inch wheels. But yeah, the red interior, some people really go for that, and that's the reason they want this car. And the teardrop frames around the speakers here, the door speakers. 93 was also the first year you could option power mirrors on the NA Miata, so that's another thing special about it. It has power windows, obviously. It has all the bells and whistles and everything you'd expect from a fully loaded Miata. I think 15.5 is a little too much for any Miata, though. I would try and talk him down to maybe like 12 or 13, maybe. But I've seen people try and list these cars for above 20, and not just on Facebook Marketplace, but at car shows. And it's like, that's boomer bait. You're absolutely insane if you think any Miata is worth 20 unless it's been LS swapped, in my opinion. So that's 3 good examples. This is an RX-8. Even if you type Miata in the search results, you still get some odd results. Odd looking Miata here. Rotary Miata. Rotary NC Miata with suicide doors. Let's look at this one. This one is priced at $8,500, but I don't know. From the looks of that first picture, it doesn't look clapped or anything, but I don't know if it's as clean as an example as some of the others we've looked at so far. 83,000 listed 5 weeks ago. That tells me that this person has this particular Miata priced a little bit too high. And so with 83,000 miles, yeah, I've seen NBs fetch that price. And this is an NB1, but I do wonder what's holding it back. Was owned since 2004. Very low mileage, oil change, fuel pump, clean tile hand. Could use some restoration on the exterior and interior. So I could tell just from the thumbnail, not all was perfect with this car. 26 years old, blah, 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 cash sale only. Let's see what's actually wrong cosmetically with this car. Those wheels could use a little bit of polishing, that's for sure. I am wondering, based on some of these pictures, I think the clear coat might be going on the hood here. This looks to be in twilight blue, which is the same color as the 97 STO. So if you want this color on an NA Miata, get a 97 STO. Yeah, I'm not sure why it hasn't sold yet. I'd have to take a closer look at the car because this car is listed in Round Rock, which is just north of Austin. And so there's a major market for Miatas in this area. But the fact that it hasn't sold has me worried about something that maybe even though it has a clean title, maybe it has a title issue, like the current owner doesn't have current owner doesn't have the title in his name, maybe, or maybe there's something actually wrong with the engine. Something just doesn't feel right, because this is the type of listing that I think people would go to look at, and then they see something wrong with the car, and then they walk away from the deal. And also the fact that this seller has, even though there's only 2 ratings, 2.5 stars, that's probably not a good sign. Let's look at this NB in Plano. 142,000 miles is kind of on the high end for like a collector grade car. Really, for even a drive, it's probably close to the high end for like a driver's grade car. But the outside seems to be in good condition. Is this in... This looks like emerald green mica. Or maybe it's British Racing Green. It's an SE, so I think that might be British Racing Green. Yeah, bad AC. Yeah, that might be the case. You just never know. Maybe the X gave him a bad review. Yeah, yeah, that might be the case. This one has a clean title, a manual transmission. 12 weeks though, that means 9 grand is way too much. And I honestly think 9 grand is too much for a car that has 142,000 miles, an NB at least. With that mileage, really, this is probably a 6.5 grand car all day in good condition. That's really pretty right there. Yeah, and Texas AC is very important, and working on ACs is not something people like to do. Yeah, I know that feeling. I've driven in 100, 110 degree summers here in Texas. So all of my Miatas, though, had working AC, just to varying degrees. One thing, though, is if you get a hardtop for the Miata, for an NA or an NB, the AC is going to work a lot better. Okay, this is something I don't like. When you do a listing like this, and most of your pictures are basically screen caps from a phone, that ain't gonna cut it. I'm sorry. Yeah, no. We'll look at maybe 3 or 4 more here on Marketplace, and then we'll switch over to Bring a Trailer. Here's a 95 M edition in Austin. Okay, so the very first thing is he wants to show off like the wink mod or something like that. You can tell a Zoomer owns this car. Most of these pictures are subpar so far. They're the wrong perspective on the car. You want close-up shots. This looks good from this angle. It has the original wheels. I don't know that I like this aftermarket steering wheel, to be honest. I see what they were trying to do, but not my cup of tea. Doesn't appear to have a check engine light because it's obviously idling with no lights. Of course, you can get around that by just clearing the code temporarily. Yeah, I don't know about those wheels. Listed a week ago. This person might find the right buyer for this car. Let's see. Oh, uh-oh. So if it's registerable, that means it has a rebuilt title in Texas because it was a salvage car. Yeah, even at 76,000 miles, 9 grand is too much. This is a salvage car, even if that even with under 100,000 miles, that's maybe 5 or 6 grand all day. Here's an RX-7 and FB. Let's look at this NC in Oklahoma. Yeah, there was a listing on Marketplace. If you really want to, we'll go back and just look at that RX-7 listing just for shits and giggles. So this is in Starlight Blue not Starlight Blue, but Stormy Blue mica, which was the dark blue that they offered on the NC. It's a manual transmission, obviously. Very nice, clean, 52,000 miles, 10 grand. Runs perfect, 6-speed manual, serviced by Nelson Mazda. They're a big Mazda dealer in Oklahoma, I think. One of my friends bought a ND Club from them, if I remember correctly. Uh-oh. Rebuilt title. Yeah. Yeah, so that's not worth $10,000 even with the low miles. Maybe because it's an NC, maybe 7,000. The problem with rebuilt titles is if they're flood cars, you might have to fight electrical gremlins, and those are the worst things to deal with in trying to make a car drivable again. RX-7 where? Okay, yeah, this is the listing here. You see my point about RX-7s not being liquid assets? This has been listed for almost a year at $5,000, and this person still can't sell the car, assuming that if the listing is up, it's available. So yeah, I guess it's available. And he's got 4.5 stars, but nobody wants to buy this car. This is an 82 RX-7 FB, so it would be a Series 2, I think, which was, I think, 81 to 83, if I remember correctly. One owner, manual transmission, runs and drives. Factory parts were replaced, upgraded. 100,000 miles. 100,000 miles is kind of a lot for a rotary, but it's not like the engine's necessarily going to blow up, especially on the FB and the FC. It's FDs that you have to worry about the engine blowing up and the apex seals failing at like 60,000. Edelbrock, yeah. The rear of the car looks nicer than the front, and I think it's probably the wear on the windshield frame that's really kind of detracting from the value of the car, at least appearance wise. These are, by the way, these wheels right here are the ones that you want if you want the stock wheels for an FB RX-7. They're very period correct, and they look so sleek on this wedge style, body that's very typical of the 1980s. Rotaries blow apex seals, and less often, but just as problematic, they'll blow coolant seals, especially on the RX-8. And those are a bitch to replace. The rotary engine is something where it's easier if you're actually going to do an entire engine rebuild or replacement or swap, a rotary is easier to deal with than a traditional like piston engine. But the thing about rotary engines is you're going to have to replace them or rebuild them way more frequently than a piston engine. So if you're already used to rebuilding engines and doing engine swaps, then it does make sense to get a rotary. But if you're somebody who needs to pay somebody else or take a lot of time to do an engine rebuild, then you're getting into risky territory if you go with a rotary. That interior looks decent for a car that's over 40 years old. Ew. Yeah, that's a lot of wear there. To me, this kind of discoloration on the seats this old, when you see them in the rear, but you don't see them on the front, tells me that I think the seals on the hatch, the glass back, were leaking. And so this is probably full of mold here, even if the rest of the car isn't. And I'd be looking for rust on the floorboard. He would have done himself a favor by just taking out this entire rear seat here and just chunking it. I don't even know where he got these rear seats because if I remember correctly, in the US domestic market, there were no 2+2 RX-7s. All you had back here was 2 cubby holes. So I'm thinking maybe he got the seat somewhere and put it in, but yeah, this is detracting from the value of the vehicle. And it's probably causing people to second guess this listing. Yeah, I just, as soon as you can, if you want to sell this car, dude, dump these seats. If there's actually nothing else wrong with the car, dump those seats, go back to the cubby holes. If you really want an FB RX-7, it wouldn't hurt to at least talk to the guy and ask about those seats. Because if they were just put in aftermarket because he thought they were cool and the original cubby holes are still there, try and talk him down and then and then just get rid of those damn seats. They look ugly and they're not useful. All they do is collect mold. Here's a 2001 special edition. 95 RX-7 is one of my faves. Yeah, it would be one of mine too because I think that was the last model year of the Series 6, which would be the first sub-series or the first sub-generation of the RX, of the FD. And I think it was the last model year offered in the US. They continued in Japan and I think maybe Australia through 2002. But yeah, 95 was the last model year in the US because they weren't selling that many, number one, and number two, I don't think Mazda wanted to deal with the OBD2 requirements that would come in the 96 model year. I would want to get a 96 or later RX-7 anyway if I wanted to get something JDM because they did make improvements to the car, number one and number two. They offered it in a color called Innocent Blue Mica, which here is called Laguna Blue or Sapphire Blue. But that's a very nice looking color on the FD RX-7. So this 2001 special edition Miata, driver's seat has wear and tear, got hit from the passenger side, don't want to fix it. Car has a bonded title, but it's a clean title. So a bonded title means that he wasn't able to get the car in the previous seller's name to sign it. And so a surety bond had to be obtained. And then the bonded title turns into a normal title after, I think, 3 or 4 years in the state of Texas. So oh, okay. right here in the rear quarter panel. This quarter panel here is the Achilles heel of the Miata, because I think on the NA and the NB, this attaches to the chassis of the car by like pinch welds, I think. And you basically have to break those welds to take this panel off. It's not like the front fender where it just bolts on. And so there may be damage underneath to like the endoskeleton or whatever you want to call it. It's the next layer of metal that's below this panel. That's what happened to my 96 Miata that got totaled about 3 years ago. And that's what totaled it. It's just the damage made its way to the second layer of metal. Yeah, the problem is when you drill out the pinch welds and then you bolt them back in, or you try to weld them back in, you only get about, according to every Miata expert I've talked to, you get about maybe half the structural integrity of the way it left the factory. And it's expensive to do it. Looking at a close-up of this damage, it actually might not be that bad. It might just be on the surface. I wonder if there may be a way to just pop those dents out. You could probably get this dent out from the trunk if you just take a rubber mallet or something. This one here, though, is probably a little bit trickier, I think. You might have to actually pull that dent out. These scratches can be done. These scratches can be fixed if you know a paint guy that will do it for cheap and knows how to blend paint. Yeah, based on the damage and everything, I mean, he should get that fixed. Listed 2 hours ago. Somebody will probably buy it. All right, so before we move on to bring a trailer, let me get a sip of water. Seat torn from farts. Yeah, I know what I got. Yeah, yeah. If y'all ever watch Collector Car Feed, Nick Gear likes to joke about, yeah, that's seen about 5,000 farts or 10,000 farts. When he looks at like submissions or listings that have pictures of like blown out seats. So something I want to point out about Miata listings on Facebook Marketplace, if you type in the search result Miata, you're going to get mostly NAs and NBs. If you want more NCs and NDs, you have to type in MX5, which is what the Miata is known as in the rest of the world outside the US and Japan. And so I did just that. As you can see here, this is the search result that you get for MX5. And the very first 2 listings are NCs. So let's look at this one. Here's a video. It's not much of a description here. So he didn't even turn on the car. He just walked around it. And then these are just lazy cell phone screenshots. Yeah, not enough information. I don't like it when people do that. That's laziness. Same here, only 6 photos on this listing. This one looks kind of a little bit clapped out, not gonna lie. Rebuilt title, 130,000 miles. The market's kind of cooled off for low-end Miatas, unfortunately. Somebody might buy it at $49.50, but I think somebody will probably haggle them down to $4 and then walk away with the car. That's what I think is going to happen. And so you can see this is kind of more of a questionable listing than some of the cream puffs we were looking at. Let's see if we can find another NC. Here are, okay, I see two. Let's look at this NC1 that's in, looks like Columbia, Missouri for $10,500, 59,000 miles. Clean title. It's for sale by a dealer. I wonder if this is an automatic. Those are aftermarket wheels, I think. Yeah, you got to check the bottom on anything north past Dallas. Yeah, well, I would say anything north of the 36th parallel. So that means anything north of North Carolina, Tennessee, Arkansas, Oklahoma, that area. Any states north of there, you got to check. Oh yeah, automatic. So unless you actually want an automatic, no, I would stay away from this. This person is relying on the low mileage to sell the car for 5 figures. An automatic Miata, even with this kind of mileage, I wouldn't pay more than 6 or 7. It's in good condition, though, it looks like. Let's see, are the calipers purple? Well, let's look. Maybe? Maybe. Yeah, it looks like somebody painted them, took some Krylon maybe. That overflow tank for the overflow coolant tank is going to have to be replaced soon. That's the first failure point on any NC Miata. Get the aluminum replacement that I think Dayfab manufactures. The Roadster Sport exhaust is actually a good aftermarket exhaust to put on these cars. But yeah, it's an auto, so I'm not interested. And here's an NC3 2014, something a little bit more recent. I see most of these, oh, it's an automatic. But the NC Club from the NC3 subgeneration is probably the best NC to get. I would get one with a power retractable hardtop, a manual transmission, obviously. And I see most of these cars sold in either white or red. Black is a little bit rarer. Yeah, that's a little bit too high for an automatic transmission with over 100,000 miles. This was the Mazda Speed we looked at. I think we looked at this NC already. Let's do one more on Facebook Marketplace. Let's look at this 2004. No, did we look at this one? Oh, there was another car in Plano, Texas, I think we looked at. But this is a Mazda Speed in gray as well. It's got more miles than the other one, and they want almost $9,000 for it. Those are aftermarket seats, I think, or seat covers. Yeah, those are seat covers that are designed to match this aftermarket steering wheel. And I'm not a fan of this type of steering wheel, to be honest. Good night, Mayor Fuglycool. Yeah, I think those calipers are purple that were on that other listing. Yeah, so among the Facebook Marketplace, oh, here's an ND. Okay, now I'm curious. Oh, I don't want to look at that NC. Where was that ND? There it is. There we go. It's got aftermarket aero on it. I'm not a fan. Automatic transmission, 53,000 miles. Nobody's going to want to buy it with these modifications, these cosmetic modifications for 15. So the Miata market, the sellers have gotten a little bit more greedy as far as the listings go for cream puffs. But the market is not really moving at all, especially for clapped out shit boxes or stuff with questionable mods like this one here, unfortunately. Or fortunately, it depends, I guess. All right, that's enough Facebook Marketplace. Let's go over to Bring a Trailer. I have switched sides. Okay, so I have the Miata listings pulled up. This represents closer to what you find with the cream of the crop. There are 7 live auctions for Miata right now, including a 35th anniversary ND. We'll look at that listing in just a bit, but let's start with this. Let's start with this relatively clean NA that lists that ends tomorrow, I think. So 1990. Looks like it's got the A package or the B package because it's got the Daisy alloy wheels. Only 12,000 miles. That's super low. I'd feel guilty about driving this car. And I'm not going to go through every single picture. You can go on Bring a Trailer and look at them on your own, but it's got too low miles, really. I mean, it's a car that you just park and drive maybe once every other month, it seems. $586 watchers, though. That's just amazing. That's Bring a Trailer for you. 12,750. No reserve. I don't know what very pristine examples of any Miatas are going for on Bring a Trailer now, because I haven't regularly checked Bring a Trailer in a few months. But we'll find out in just a bit when we go over previous listings. I could see this car selling for easily like 15 or 16 though. And somebody might get into a bidding war and we could see it go higher than that. Let's look at this 25th anniversary, this 2025 35th anniversary. These are the only ND Miatas that come in this artisan red shade, which is a lot like Merlot Mica that was on the 95 M edition. So if you want the ND version of the 95 M edition, you got to find a 35th anniversary. And I think I want to say the 2000 special edition of the NB had this type of color as well. I don't know that any NCs came in this type of color though. I think NC did do, there was a burgundy NC, but I don't remember what year it was. This car is artisan rounded top paint, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not sure how many 35th anniversary editions they made globally, but the US only got 350. I want to say Japan got the most. They got like 700 or 800. I wonder which Mazda dealer sold. Okay, Orisman Mazda in Laurel, Maryland. Bought it for $38,000. So let's see, where is it right now? It probably has a reserve. Because if it didn't have a reserve, it'd say no reserve on here. So it's up to $26,000 and it ends in 4 days. I think it's going to go north of 32, 33, but I don't think the buyer is going to get all their, the seller is going to get all their money back from the sale, from what they bought it for. Especially if they paid a markup. Ooh, let's look at this M edition. This is the same car that I own. Oh, and it has the hardtop too. Ooh, let's see. This is, gosh, I love that color so much. It's part of the reason I bought my 96M edition. Current bid, $7,600, no reserve. Okay, If I had a Bring a Trailer account, I'd definitely watch this auction. Ends in 6 days. Look how cute it looks. Woo. Smiley headlights. Okay, gotta calm down. One family owned. I think it's probably been in California its entire life then, which is great. That means no rust. Unless you live right next to the beach. Hardtop included. Which were finished in Starlight Mica over tan, leather upholstery. It was purchased new by seller's father as a surprise gift for his wife to commemorate their 40th anniversary. Aww. Of course, spent most of his time in Modesto, California. That's in the Central Valley, I think. Yeah. 18,000 miles, though? That's almost perfect. That means it's actually been driven, but not that much. So it's borderline like super collector grade, but if you drove it if you drove it maybe every weekend, like I wouldn't feel guilty about it. It'd be a long time before you hit 30 or 40,000 miles. As long as you don't overpay for this, that is like 20,000 miles is about the lowest amount of miles I'd buy a car for. And then I'd drive my other, if I had this, This one would be the M Edition I drive like maybe once a month or only to like Miata meets or car shows. And then if I wanted to do like weekend errands, I'd drive my current M Edition the way it is now. No reserve, the clean California Carfax, clean California title, and the seller's name. All 96 M Edition filler and Starlight Blue Mica. Body color, removable hardtop. I have that. Pop-up headlights, chrome door handles, painted mirror caps. If the power antenna works, I bet it does. That's crazy. Mine works, by the way. My power antenna. M Edition badges, single exhaust outlet. That's the stock exhaust, by the way. So everything about this car is, I think, stock. I think even the suspension is, because that looks like the stock ride height for 1.8 liter Miatas, NA Miatas. So that'd be 94 through 97. Four-wheel disc brakes. Oh, that is really clean inside. Oh no. Oh no. It's an automatic. Sigh. Ugh. And it has so low miles that I feel guilty doing a manual swap or changing anything to the car. The automatic is going to hold it back, unfortunately. The other thing that's going to hold it back, by the way, is this radiator is in dire need of replacement. When they get brown like this, that means the plastic could crack any minute. That's just a $200 job, though, if you could do it yourself. Oh yeah, I should have known. Gift for the wife, maybe. Totally not sexist there. No, I mean, like when you buy it as a gift for somebody, it's more likely to be an automatic because, you know, you don't know if the other person can drive manual or anything like that. So there are a lot of Zoomers that also don't know how to drive standard. So this might sell with one of them if they're loaded with cash. But yeah, 18,000 miles. It's an automatic. That's really the only thing that's kind of detracting from the price. It's at $7,600. Yeah, it might sell for, it will easily sell for 10 because of the low miles. It may even sell for 15. I just wouldn't pay that much for any automatic Miata, to be honest. It looks really clean though. I wonder if there are more interior pics. Okay, so they took the hard top off. Let's look at these. Okay, good. The hardtop comes with the side latches. You want those. Otherwise, you're basically riding dirty. What I'm pointing to back here, if I can move my head just a little bit, these side latches latch onto an anchor point right here, a striker bar right here. You want those because you want 6 points of connection between the hardtop and the body of the car, not 4. You can ride with 4, but I wouldn't recommend it. That can't be the original soft top, can it? Because it's plastic. Oh. Gosh, yeah, the automatic transmission is the only thing that kind of ruins it for me. A lot of other people too. I'm curious to see what people say in the comments though. Waiting on a 26 blue GTR. I hope it is as beautiful as this one. Oh yeah, it will be, because I almost bought one myself, a 25. The dealer just wanted too much for it. Wasn't willing to come down. Modesto means zero rust. I did not know autos didn't get the halo bars below the rear diff. What are the halo bars? People who are interested in bidding on this are already talking about doing a manual swap. Yeah, the car has ABS. The module was clearly visible in the engine bay. Oh my gosh. This person owned 2 autos. This is so... Bob MX5, he comments on all these Miata posts, and he says it's going to go over 20. Even with the automatic transmission, 96 may be the second best M color. Only Merlot Mica's better. Well, that's just your opinion. I think Merlot is the third best color. Marina Green Mica on the 97M edition is the second best. And of course, my color is the best. But yeah, when I read stuff about, man, this is going to go close to 20K at that mileage, even with an automatic transmission, it's like, that is so boomer. I cannot think of I can't think of many more boomer comments on these listings. You know, if I wanted to get my mom a 96M edition, I think this is the car I would get. Has everything she needs, and she can't drive a manual. Although I guess I could teach her, but I don't think even if I taught her, she would want to drive a manual. Sorry, I got hypnotized by looking at the color and everything. So, all right, let's look at what previous listings of Miatas have gone for. And I'm not going to click on all of these listings and read the fine details. I can get kind of a basic gist for what it is, because most of these listings have the model year and the number of miles it has. And if they're a special edition, it's going to be described in the title. And I can tell by the sale price what the market's going for. And as you can see, almost every Miata that's been sold in the past month or two, maybe longer, with few exceptions like this one here, has sold for 5 figures. I said that in one of my previous streams, where 5 figures for clean NA Miatas, we're here. And not all of these are NAs. Here's an NA. 94, looks like Laguna Blue, for $20,000. Wonder what the mileage was. 88,000. That I bet it was swapped. $20,000 for 88,000 miles. Please tell me this was swapped. Please tell me somebody put an LS in this. What? This isn't like a R spec, is it? Money law. You think maybe like two people got into a bidding war and they both knew the seller? Rear bumper color has been repainted, chrome door handles, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It is a rare color, but that is the only thing that would not drive the price to $20,000 for an NA Miata with almost 100,000 miles. And here's Bob MX5. He's going on. Congrats, you lifted it crazy for colors. I paid $17K for my 90 Smurf flat. What? We paid. We didn't. we didn't overpay. We paid too soon, as they said. I can't. let me calm. Let me calm down. Oh my god. Oh my god. That is so boomer as fuck. I'm having a Sam Hyde moment here. Oh my god. And this is the same exact color I sold for $15K not long ago. Overpaid a bit. Blue and tan, BBS, but only better is the 95. Okay. Ugh. What spurred this comment? Gotta love Florida. Mine had a battery falling out of the bottom. What? Wait a minute. Battery falling out of the bottom when he got it. This person must have had an NB. Why the quick turnaround? One of 341 for 94. So it's got the real oil pressure gauge, rare color. Oh God, I hope somebody from New York didn't buy it. Jesus. Now it's they drive it in the winter, it's gonna get rust. That's one of those things. No offense to anybody from one of the Rust Belt or Snow Belt states, but please don't poach our nicer Miatas in the Sun Belt. Don't be coming to Florida. Don't be coming to Texas. Don't be coming to California just to get your Miata. What is... Okay, this is pictures of the shifter rebuild. Just two? All this tells me is that he just took this apart. That's it. Radiator more than Seagate Frank. Oh. Somebody check his hard drive. His Seagate hard drive. Yeah, Bob is right about the radiator. I'll give him that. New CSFO. Yeah, okay, that's a good one. This is basically like him telling a story when he's selling this car. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. I wonder if I'll see this car at Miata's at the Gap. Here's a cold start. That annoying door buzzer. The module was taken out of mine, thankfully. Oh, it's an ABS. It's an ABS model. Let's see. Yeah, it's got ABS. Oh, here we go. You can tell it's ABS because it's got that light flashing. Also, you can tell it's a 94 because it's got the real oil pressure gauge. That was the last year of the real oil pressure gauge, and then they put in a dummy gauge. So honestly, yeah, if I wanted a Laguna, the only other NA Miata I want that's not an M edition is really this one, a Laguna Blue from 94 or 95. This literally like matches this is the NA version of my current ND, really. And Laguna Blue is basically like a metallic version of Mariner Blue, which was on the 1.6. Engine sounds healthy. Okay. There's like at least 5 or 6 different people that are talking up this car about how great it is. So yeah, I can definitely believe there was a bidding war. I don't know about, money laundering, although that might be a possibility, but I could believe there was a bidding war for this car. 9,500, 9,600. Okay, that is within. I wouldn't pay that much for something with 88,000 miles, but that's still kind of within reason, especially for bring a trailer. I would have expected this car to go up to 11, maybe 12. Okay, here's the bidding. Oh my gosh. In an hour, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people were in a bidding war. This is boomer as fuck. Like, 7 different people were in this bidding war. Who wants to guess what the average age is of these people? I bet it's at least 60. Maybe, I wouldn't be surprised if it's at least 70. What the fuck? This Scarlet, okay. Easy a 15 to 18K. I'm not in the market, but to pay 10. Figure out where to park it. Good luck with final bidders. This one won't drop in value with regular. It has 88,000 miles on it, if I remember correctly. I'm out. 15 to 18 on bring a trailer specifically. And then there was even more of a bidding war to push it from, okay, so 9,750 up to 15.5. And then another bidding war here basically pushed it up to, within the course of 15 minutes, it added another 5 grand. Oh, there was a bidding war between these two. What? Okay, the seller got lucky, in my opinion. If this wasn't like money laundering or some fraud, like this, no. They got lucky. Laguna Blue is carrying this hard. All right, all right. Enjoy it. I'm at my limit. Look, and this guy is basically congratulating him for saying, "Yeah, good job, savage bidding, bro." I'd be mad as fucking hell. This is like the Corvette owners in the jorts and the New Balances basically like shaking each other's hands and saying, may I touch your cock, good sir?" I swear, like Miata people are becoming, I hate to say it, we're becoming the new Corvette owners. I don't think you're overpaying it if you want it. You get a larger engine for the 94. It's still a 1.8. Oh no. I need to do a short just about this listing and talk about how fucking crazy it is. I'm sorry I'm spending so much time on this one listing, but this is just so much candy right here. I still can't get over that comment. Okay, I better scroll up before I lose control again. This ended 4 hours ago. Oh my god. Oh, that must be with the upgraded radio. No, that looks like the that's an OEM radiator, unless. Those okay, but those tan seats though, they're nice and clean. Those BBS wheels were taken off another car. Rear bumper cover has been repainted. Paint chips and dings around the body, as well as a chip in the windshield. And it's still sold for $20. That's just insane. I'm sorry. If I find a car like that for 10, I'll gladly take it. This one sold for 16,000, 46,000 miles. NB should not be selling for this much unless they're Mazda speeds. High-end NAs were not selling for this much just 3 or 4 years ago. Strato Blue Mica Special Edition. This is probably the NB Miata that I would want, is the 03 Special Edition. I want to say it has a gray or a white interior as well, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's kind of like a light gray, almost white interior. These wheels, I think, look like Racing Heart wheels with the Mazda logo on them. The roll bar from Blackbird Fabworks, I think, yeah. It's a good looking car. It's a special edition. That's probably why it went for 16. I still think that's too much for NBs. Although I think, well, it does come with the original, like the hats and the other kind of memorabilia that you get with these. There's not much of a bidding war here. Okay, let's find a couple more, and then we'll go to Duggan bids. But as you can see, yeah, for the mileage, 29,000 miles, an '08. Well, that's not really collectible yet. Let's look at collectible ones like this 96 regular Mazda. 13,000. How many miles did it have? 84,000 miles. Oh, geez. All these radiators need to be replaced. Here's another '03 special edition for 13,500. That sold with the white interior. This one had 61,000 miles. Yeah, what's going on? And Bring a Trailer, I know, is the high end of the market, but this is just insane. So yeah, this is what you're getting on Bring a Trailer. These could be people like getting ready for convertible season and wanting to spend their tax refunds. That's also true, but you know, 20 here, 16, 17, 10, 10, 20. You get where this is going, right? This is what I mean by when I said bifurcation of the market. Either shit boxes that aren't selling or moving and they're being priced like people think they're worth something, or boomers getting into bidding wars. And now, like any clean Miata like this that's under 100,000 miles, let's just say under 100,000, because we obviously seen examples of like 80, 90,000 miles going for insane money. Yeah, 5 figures easily. Be prepared to bring at least $10,000 to the table. This is insane. Like, this is what I was saying earlier. And I hadn't even checked Bring a Trailer until this stream. Like, what the fuck happened in the last few months? Let's actually organize this strictly for NAs. See, the market's remained relatively elevated for NAs, above 10K for the most part. 20, 15, 7, 8, bid to 18. Sold for 15, sold for 13, sold for... The ones that sell for less are the ones that have like custom paint jobs. Sold for 24, okay, but that's a swap. Sold for 13, sold for 10, sold for 10, sold for 20. That's a sunburst yellow. 4,400 miles, dang. Sold for 10. So even last year, like I was saying, yeah, you're paying more than $10,000 if you want a clean NA Miata. Most likely, you could, if you get lucky, you can probably still find one for under that amount that's relatively clean, but it's starting to become unaffordable for entry-level enthusiasts, sad to say. Let's look at Duggan bids for Miatas here. And I'm maybe only going to click 1 or 2 listings. $8,300, $10,500, 10.4. Doug and Bids is not quite as elite as, say, Bring a Trailer as far as what people are willing to pay for these listings. But as you can see here, NAs and NBs, they're all around 10 or above. There are a few that are below that, like this one here for 6,700, 8,300 here. But yeah, Doug and Bids is at the price level where Bring a Trailer was late last year. So they're about 6 months behind on the trend. I'm trying to find one of these and see if there's like a special edition that we can look at. This is probably the best one right now for like that was sold. This person paid $9,400 for a 1990 that looks to be in Silverstone with 35,000 miles. I think if this car was running and driving with no major mechanical issues, this was the best deal from the past couple of months. They didn't overpay relative to everybody else. Okay, I'm not Dougie DeMiro, so not gonna do the impression. Known flaws, rust on driver. 2002 date codes on the tires, rust on the driver's side A-pillar, patches on the soft top fabric, chips everywhere, some corrosion on underbody components, and it's still sold for almost $10,000? What the fuck are people smoking? Oh my God. Now, I did check Doug and Bids a little bit before, but yeah, this is where we are. If you want a clean Miata, this isn't even a clean Miata, okay? This has rust. And it's sold for almost $10,000. This is insane. You might get lucky on Facebook Marketplace. Stick to that. Don't go to Cars and Bids. Don't go to Bring a Trailer unless you're prepared to spend 15 grand for a super clean example. I cannot advocate for shit like this. It's just, this interior needs just a little bit of work, I think. But this HVAC panel face or whatever is starting to wear. My 96M edition is nearly perfect as far as this piece goes, okay? That is somebody getting their greedy hands on this thing and just messing with the climate controls too much. How bad is the rust? I'm just curious. Let's see if I can find. Missing stickers are a concern. Uploaded photos, rust of the A-pillar. Show this car was wet for an extended period of time. However, the griping about the undercarriage rust is ridiculous. Any car will have that rust on the underside like that. Grantly 1, 2, 3. Well, let's look at. Okay, now I'm curious because they're talking about rust on the underside, but one person in the comments is saying it's not bad. Oh, is there any place? Okay, let's look at this. Okay. There's no way that's 208 photos. Am I missing something here? 25, 50, 75, 100, 125. No, that is 200. Okay, so where are the undercarriage photos? All right, let's start here. That's the front. Um, I've seen worse. That's not terrible. I just hope those bolts aren't rust welded. But if you just replace the fasteners, you should be okay. Yeah, there's not much rust under that car. On the A-pillar frame, see if I can find it. But yeah, this is insane. That many dents. My 96M edition has fewer dents than that. I paid $8 for it a year and a half ago. And what is that? That's repair work. This needs a new top. Oh, okay. I try and get that repaired because that can spread up and down the windshield frame. I think this car is wrapped. I don't think this was a stock color for 2009. Exterior color, interior color black. Yeah, it was wrapped. I don't like buying wrapped cars like that. Indie Miatas are holding their value though. They're not depreciating all that much. This one is a club that sold for $29,000 and it's a model year 2023, which is actually the last model year of the ND2. It's a soft top with the BBS package, so with 6,600 miles, yeah, I'd say that's about right for the amount that you're going to pay. Let's look at a couple more. We'll go to Auto Tempest. Auto Tempest is one of those sites that compiles search results from any number of other car listing sites, but you're going to find mostly newer Miatas on Auto Tempest unless you go specifically to, say, Hemming search results for, say, more classic vehicles. And so 18,000 for 2021 ND. So NDs are starting to come down in value as they age and they get more mileage. I'm not sure that we need to look too deep into the market for NDs. Here's Carvana. The ND market has not really changed in the past few years. The depreciation is about what it was since COVID and even before COVID. So, and I don't think there's really a need to look at Auto Trader other than, yeah, 26 model year 26 cars are starting to come into the United States and are showing up at dealers' lots. So one thing I do want to find is, I'm going to look specifically, I chose Atlanta, Georgia, just for the hell of it, but it's a nationwide search. I want to look, one of the changes they made on the ND Miata for this year, for 2026, is if you get the club with the BBS Brembo package, you get Alcantara trim and on the interior, on like on the door cards and underneath the dash as well. And I want to see if there are any 2026 clubs with the BBR package listed that show that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in 2026. And then we'll go down to club. We'll pick club spec. Let's look at RFs as well. So we'll add RFs to the search. All right, let's look at this one. No, that's a Grand Touring. Never mind. How many results do we get? Club. Okay. Brembo BBS package. All right, let's look at this one since this was the first search result. Yeah, you see the Alcantara trim everywhere along the center, along the transmission tunnel here on either side of the center console. The cover, the undersides of the dash, the inside, the middle panels, and the door cards. Yeah, this looks real nice. Too bad I prefer a GT because I need traffic sign recognition here. Also, I like the chrome dials instead of the black dials. That's what you get with the Grand Touring versus the Club. That's really nice, though. Yeah, that's the main reason I wanted to look at this. All right, let's see if they have one in the color I want, which is blue. "13 are available. Gil Mazda, I think they're in Texas. Conroe, Texas, yeah. Let's look at this one. This is a soft top. Honestly, if I get another Indy, I'm going to want an RF. Yeah, Alcantara trim on the interior. You can see it here along the sides here. All right, let's see if I can find an RF though. So let us undo this one. I think this is the only one where there might be, let's see, RF Club. An RF Club means it's going to have the Brembo BBS package because all the RFs have that. Oh yeah, Alcantara there, Alcantara here, Alcantara here. Damn, this looks sexy. I might actually get a Club instead of a GT. Oh, Damn, that's tempting. Okay. I think I'll call it for the stream tonight, really. I've spent about an hour longer than I was expecting to, mainly because of a certain bring your trailer listing. I might have some content there to edit in for shorts. So we'll see. But gosh, that's just that saying. Well, what was it? We didn't pay too much. We paid too soon. Okay. All right, that's gonna do it for tonight's stream. Thanks for watching and sticking all the way through. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I don't know how many of you are still watching. But yeah, so look for this. This was simul-streamed to Twitch and YouTube. I'll have some content from this stream maybe for shorts, like I said. So, but until next time, like I said, I'm probably going to stream on Thursday as well. Thursday is my usual streaming day each week. So I'll have something likely Thursday evening. I don't know what I'm going to stream yet. You'll know that morning. And then I'm probably going to try and do another short every Sunday morning like I did. I was kind of occupied this past week because we had friends in from out of town. But now that I have a little bit more time on my hands, look for more content here pretty soon. And once again, like I said, don't be discouraged by what you see tonight. You can still get a Miata for a good deal, but the window is closing for something that is drivable, that is in very good condition, and something that you're going to want to keep for a long time. Be prepared to spend at least $10,000 because that's unfortunately where we are now. So, but until next time, I'll have more Miata content soon. See you later.